So now Ruslan will tell us about the architecture as a code with Python. So give him a warm welcome.
Thanks, Philip. Hi, PyCon. I'm Ruslan Korniichuk. Of course, I'm Ukrainian, and I'm an artificial intelligence architect at Schneider Electric Poland. Sorry, give me a few minutes to find the best place to talk. And first question, which country is this company from, Schneider Electric? Poland, okay. And other ideas? Germany, okay. No, it's not Germany company. Sounds like extra Germany, but in practice it's French company. And to be honest, I like French companies and I like life balance more than work-life balance in another not French companies. And another question, are elevators our most popular product? Schneider Electric company and elevators, lifts. Yes or no? Are elevators our most popular product? And answer no. Schindler, yep, produces elevators. Schneider Electric, it's not Schindler. We have some gifts from AWS. I am requested both virtual and physical presents, but to be honest, received only virtual. We will have 3 AWS credits, also known as vouchers, $25 US each. And also we have discount for AWS certification, 50% for cloud and cloud practitioner and associate levels. That's why I also found a physical gift. This one, but it's not AWS cloud, it's Biedronka cloud. So please stay focused. I need some interaction with you today. Yep, that's why we have also gifts for you. A few rules. If I need to talk louder, show me this gesture, please. Yep, when time is over, show me this one, because we have some time delay. No worries, I will try to finish on time today. And yep, and also we have one, I can say, challenge today or contest. I will show one fake slide today. So you need to be focused, you need to see presentation. And when you see fake slide, you really understand it's absolute bullshit, it's out of scope. Just shout fake. Yep, so see slides. When you will see fake slide, just shout fake. Let's start. Let's start from... Yep, false start. Let's start from introduction. I want to talk about architecture as a cloud, AaC, and let's ask Google Trends about architecture as code in infrastructure as code. Let's find this one. So blue is infrastructure as code, and red is architecture as code. And you can see infrastructure as code extremely much more popular, and I hope you know tools like Terraform, CloudFormation, AWS CloudFormation, some serverless application model, CDK, Cloud Development Kit. So my presentation is not about infrastructure as code, sorry. And my presentation more about AWS Cloud rather than Azure or GCP Cloud. Sorry again. But I hope you also know between infrastructure as code and architecture as code terms, we have something in the middle named as diagrams as code. So blue is still infrastructure as code, looks like much more popular, most popular. Red line, it's diagram as code. And bottom line, yellow, it's architecture as code. So diagram as code is much more popular. But diagram as code, it's more wider term. So in diagram as code, we can find architecture as code. With architecture as code, we are drawing our architecture diagrams. With diagram as code, we can draw whatever we want. Can you please mention few diagrams types? Who can? Any diagram types? Flowchart? Yep, can be. Cool, thanks. What is your name? Thomas. Yep, $25 for you, AWS credit. Go forward. And why I want to talk about this one? Because I mentioned in technology radar information about diagram as code. It's edition October 2020. So because we are here in Poland, we are not US, we can expect trends with some delay from Western and from US. So diagram as code, architecture as code, it was new hot topic in October 2020. Here in Poland, we are starting implementing only this year. And technology radar, I can strongly recommend this website and this reports. We have 4 sections called assets, trial, adapt, and our diagram as code in trial. It means you need to start to implementing diagram as code. And because we have circle around this dot, it means it's new topic. So let's check later technology radar, my strong recommendation. So technology radar noticed this new trend, diagrams as code. So infrastructure as code, diagram as code, architecture as code, too much complicated. Let's start from infrastructure as code. I hope you know Terraform, CloudFormation, CDK, some. We are trying to managing and provisioning of our infrastructure. So not log in to AWS manually, create new instance virtual machine, create new security group. No, we can use YAML or we can use JSON. We can write our templates and next deploy to our AWS. Let's check. Raise your hand if you use AWS Cloud Platform. Do you use AWS? Cool, thanks. And next diagram as code is just creation of diagrams using code. And we can use Python code, we can use YAML, we can use DSL, domain language. And last one, and my talk today, is architecture as code, AaC. We want to visualize our architecture with code. So we want to draw some diagram in our situation, system architecture diagrams with code. For example, Python code, because it's PyCon, yes. Surprise, surprise. And yes, of course, you can find a lot of tools. Yep, diagram as code tool. First, mentioned by Technology Radar, it's not tool, it's list of extensions for AaC Doctor. AaC Doctor is tool for documenting our projects, like Confluence, for example, product from Atlassian. And on AaC Doctor diagram is a list of different extensions, for example, Gravis solution. I hope you know Gravis Python library for drawing some vector graphics and diagrams. Another one is CloudGram, and in CloudGram we can create diagram with DSL, domain-specific language. Gravis, we know about Gravis. Please raise your hand if it's not new for you. Gravis, thanks. Illograph, we can use YAML language to draw graphics. Mermaid, Markdown-inspired Mermaid syntax, Plan2ML with Plan2ML language, structurized DSL with DSL, and web sequence diagrams. Sounds horrible, looks horrible, a lot of tools, yeah, but we will try to clean this list during this call today. And first we can split to static diagrams and interactive diagrams. And interactive diagrams, it's more about illograph and structurized DSL. But also from my point of view, CloudGram, it's also interactive, and I will show in a moment why. But Gravis, Mermaid, Plan2ML, web sequence diagram, it's more about static diagrams, PNG, SVG, JPEG files. And first one, it's CloudGram. An idea why it can be interactive, because you can find.
You need to enlarge the code.
Here is no code, it's just a screen of the solution, so no worries. So that's how looks CloudGram, and why it's interactive from my point of view, because we have embedded button here, and you can copy paste your HTML to your web page. And also you can drag and drop some icons here. So it's not PNG, it's not SVG. You can interact with this diagram. From the left side, we can see domain language specific. It's not YAML, it's not Python, it's not JSON. It's just open language for this solution. Another one, quick review, it's Merbait. Again, from left side, it's not Markdown, it's inspired Markdown. It's again domain-specific language, just one more language from Mermaid. And from right side, we can see static diagram. Plant UML, with plant UML language, again, we can draw some diagrams, but we need to know plant UML language. I know Python, I don't know plant UML language. Let's see what we have more. Web sequence diagram. From the left side, domain-specific language. Again, it's not YAML. It looks like plain text, yeah, but it's DSL. And from right side, we can see our diagram. And ELO graph looks much better. Another one question, language from the left side. Who can recognize this language or format? Who was the first? Please raise your hand. Yep, YAML, it's right answer. Yep. Who was the first? Orange. Yep, tell me your name, please, guy in orange. Jacek, thanks. $25 credit voucher for you. Yep, it's YAML. Looks much better. Yep, we know YAML much better than any other DSL languages. From my point of view, it's more human readable than JSON, but still it's not Python. I'm looking something with Python. And structured DSL, again, DSL based on name, it's structurized DSL tool and DSL language. And we can draw some architecture. Here we can see AWS architecture. And also one trend I'm noticed, it's Terraform to CDK movement, migration from Terraform and CloudFormation to Cloud Development Kit, CDK. I hope you know SDK, Software Development Kit, like Boto 3 library for Python, written in Python code. So we are moving from JSON and YAML to Python because Python we love. Problem, do we have any problems as of now? Let's check. Do you use UML? Raise your hand. Ouch. Wow. One more. Do you use Microsoft Visio? One from this side, one more, 5. Wow, okay, still popular. What about Draw.io or diagrams.net? Yep, you can see majority here. And finally, do you use whiteboard and just permanent marker or whiteboard marker? Okay, much more popular than Visio and maybe the same popular as UML. Not bad. And my problem statement, UML, PowerPoint, Visio, and even Draw.io are not good enough for me because I'm an engineer and it's not so enjoyable and fun for me to draw something in Visio or draw UML diagrams. Maybe it's just my problem. Let's check. Raise your hand if you also believe in some way in this problem statement. Okay, not so bad. Many thanks. And yes, of course, we need some solution to fix this. So as engineer, I want to draw architecture diagrams in fun, enjoyable way. I don't like UML, PowerPoint, Visio, Draw.io, not bad, but maybe we can find something better. And let's start from solution. And yes, of course, the best way I can do today, because I'm Ukrainian, I can promote our Come Back Alive fund, because you can expect that engineer not interested in any architecture as cloud solution. So you can easily donate. It's #1 top fund in Ukraine, and this fund can buy solutions like Bayraktars, for example, for Ukrainian army. Not all funds can buy Bayraktars, this fund. Okay, and you can easily use Google Pay, your credit card. If you send money from Poland, you can expect cashback. Last time I sent with provision, with fee 175, and next bank move cashback because now it's hard time for Ukraine. Move back to our presentation. It's not. No. Cool, thanks. But yep, stay focused, please. We are still waiting for fake slide. This one is real comeback alive fund. And you don't need to take a photos. I will share all my slides with you during this presentation, at the end of this presentation. So, solution for my problem, for your problem, can be architecture as code. I can easily create my architecture diagrams. I can compare and check differences, changes in diagram. Version control, we can collaborate with my team on diagrams, and I can integrate to my continuous integration, continuous delivery, continuous deployment tool. Sounds cool. Yep, from this side, who was the first? Blue, yep. Yep, many thanks. Yep, gift for blue. Architecture as code. Why I believe in this approach? We can track diagram changes. Somebody change the line, change icon. I cannot, in fast and easiest way, if I'm looking for PNG, see these differences. I need to see on both diagrams. With Git, I can easily see any changes. It will be great to visualize existing system. So if you use AWS, for example, we have our components. Let's draw architecture if we don't have. Sounds cool. And we can use tools like Cloud Discovery tool based on diagrams library. Cloud agnostic, it will be great. Do not use frameworks. For example, you can find AWS icons website, and you can easily draw AWS architecture in PowerPoint, in Draw.io, but it's only for AWS. Next, you want to draw the same architecture for Azure, and you need to find Azure icons, or you need to use Draw.io for this. I believe we can reuse some code if our products look the same in different departments. We can reuse our code, and we can believe in some collaboration. Here in Poland, we can expect better for tax deduction, in Polish koszty autorskie, because we are writing our code in Python, and we are more developers than architects who are working with PowerPoint and Word. So if you want to be architect and also want to write code in Python, yep, architecture is code solution for you. Expecting coding, yep, exactly. If you like coding like me, you can use architecture as code. And some limitations, from my point of view, architecture as code, it's more for upfront design. For example, high-level design. We are working on new solution. We want to draw future diagram. We can use architecture as code. But it's not for long life documentation. We can find much better solution. And yes, of course, it's more for engineer because we expect some Python coding. And whiteboards. Yep, to be honest, for prototyping, whiteboards are just paper, much better than any Draw.io tools. That's why we want to talk today about diagrams Python lib as a good example of architecture as code. Of open source, yes, of code, names diagrams, a lot of GitHub starts, more than 100 contributors, updated, looks great. And raise your hand if you have already familiar with diagrams Python library. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, maybe 4 or 5 people. Okay, many thanks. Let's check. From the right side, we can see our diagram. From the left side, we can see Python code. Only 10 lines of Python code for our architecture diagram. Looks great. Let's see in details how we can use diagrams library. We can find diagram class, named as diagram. From the right side, we can find result of this code. I'm just trying to use all parameters to show what we can do here, but yes, of course, it can be look like this one because we don't need all these parameters. And we need to provide a name, or we can use empty string, yes, of course. So example 2, here you can see example 2. It will be great to provide name for file name output, for example, PNG file. You can use empty string, but it will be great name as the same example 2, for example. Output format, great use. You don't need to run diagrams multiple times to render JPEG file, PNG file, dot file. You can just use Python list, and you can, in one shot, create these files for you. And direction, so diagrams can draw your diagram from left to right, from right to left, from top to bottom, from bottom to top. Much easier, redraw everything just with one parameter here. And yes, of course, diagrams based on another one question. Who know? Let's quickly check a lot of, ouch. Gravits, yep, exactly, thanks. That's why we can just provide graph attributes, for example, background color. Any attributes from GraphViz we can provide to our diagram class. Here I'm using background color white. And below we can see our node, and we will talk about nodes in a moment. Import our diagram class, import our nodes, and we can see result from the right side. Example 3, file name example 3. Show files mean if show parameter true, diagrams automatically open image diagram for you. For example, PNG file, SVG file, just to speed up work on this. I don't need this one, that's why I'm using show false here. Slide about nodes. So EC2 web, it's our nodes, and nodes object consists of 3 components. First one here, AWS, it's provider. You can replace AWS with Azure, with GCP, Alibaba Cloud, Oracle Cloud, whatever, and even on-premise solutions, not cloud. Compute, it's a resource type. And EC2, it's resource name. So EC2, it's virtual machines in AWS. That's why we can easily use EC2 and name for this icon. So from on the right side, you can see web. Because in the code, we name it as web. It can be empty string, yes, of course. And good news, you can use custom nodes. For example, last time when I'm working on high-level design for our product, it was hard for me to find Tableau component node in diagrams. But you can easily use your custom nodes. You need to just provide name for icon if you want, for example, Tableau, and pass to your icon logo. For example, Tableau logo. Super easy. Yep, and you can draw diagram from Tableau to web. And about data flow, you can see here, we will talk in the moment. No worries. So we can import our diagram. We can provide name, file name. We don't need to show after rendering. And we want to use our own custom node like Tableau, and we want to draw diagram with Tableau and EC2 AWS virtual machines. So let's talk about data flow. And next question, much more harder. You can see result on the right. We have Elastic Load Balancer. We have our EC2 virtual machine. We have RDS and S3. And you can see here 2 arrows from left to right and 1 line. It's not arrow. And you can see Elastic Load Balancer, arrow to right to EC2 looks great. Dash between or minus looks great. And RDS to S3, arrow to right looks great. And why we need to complicate construction like this? Why we cannot just remove these parentheses from left and from right and just use shift and dash or minus? It's complicated Python question, but I hope during PyCon we can find answer on this one. I'm not so good in Python, sorry. Yeah, but one more try. Who can try to... why we cannot remove parentheses? Who can help me with pronunciation? Thanks. Nawiasy in Polish, yep. Why do we need to use? Yep, no worry, it's absolutely hard question. I also don't know answer, but I'm feeling we are trying. I'm feeling we are trying to reuse. Yep. Yep, sounds reasonable. So some person from left side who was the first. Yep, tell me your name, please. Kuba. Thanks. And finally, clusters. So idea, cluster allows you group the nodes in isolated group, and you can see this blue rectangle, I can say. Blue group. And how we can do it? Just with cluster class here. So we have our diagram and we have cluster. And in cluster we have primary, replica 1 and replica 2 RDS databases. And yes, of course, we can use nested clusters. So inside cluster we can create one more cluster. First cluster, it's event flows. Inside this cluster, nested cluster processing. And you can see event flows, blue, and something like green, yellow-green processing. This one. And good news, if you want to draw diagrams for architectures that exist, so it's not prototype. You have mature product and you want to see how looks architecture because you don't have high-level design, low-level design. You can try to use Cloud Discovery open source tool, but from my point of view, it's a little bit outdated as of now, but it's great direction. Yep. Let's draw in automated way architecture for our solutions. And we are moving to questions. And yes, of course, we can propose for you discounts for AWS certification, 50% discount for practitioner, foundation, and associate levels. I will share slides with you in a moment. It's time-limited offer, so I can strongly recommend to check this link. Slides, here you can take a photo. URL 24me AaC. With this link you can download my slides. And again, it's not fake slide, no worries. URL 24.me/capitalized AaC. If you need code from my presentation, you can navigate to GitHub and find architecture as code PyCon PL 2022. Nice and hard here. If you need my email address, you can easily find me on LinkedIn and just click contact button and you can find my email address and contact me, or just contact me via LinkedIn website. Quick announcement, if you are interested in bot development, AWS, Telegram bots, not today, not tomorrow, day after tomorrow, Saturday, after lunch, room F, this room is A, in room F you can find me, and we will create diagrams in 3 different frameworks and deploy to AWS with Elastic Beanstalk and deploy as serverless application to AWS. Telegram, it's one more messenger like Facebook Messenger or WhatsApp, Viber, whatever. And yes, of course, we are actively recruiting. Good news, you can find really salary details in a lot of our job descriptions, technical job descriptions, like software engineers, data engineers. We are actively still looking for more colleagues at Schneider Poland. You can work fully remote from your location. If you know SQL, please ping me as soon as possible. And I hope you still remember we are in questions section, so we have some time for your questions about architecture as code and diagrams library.
Okay, we need to reconnect to the Wi-Fi because I've just lost the connection. But there was a question regarding workshops, and there are many other questions, so let's start from them. So the first one, does diagrams support some auto layouts that could enhance readability? For example, minimize number or crossing lines.
Let's show this one. We can use graphics, and we can use graphics parameters, for example, background, color, font size, and we can, like CSS for HTML, prepare it once and next reuse. So you can find examples for AWS-like style or Azure-like style. Yep, and you can decrease or increase gaps between icons on your diagram. So please use graph with parameters for this one. And it looks for me like CSS and HTML solution. We have our code in Python, and everything related to style we have in our graph attributes. And one more information, please check diagrams ages. It's out of my presentation today, but with diagram ages you can change view of your diagram with diagram library. Go to next one, please.
Okay, the next question is how to use that on CI/CD, some examples.
You can write your Python code, and with CI/CD you can draw your diagram and add to documentation, for example. So you don't need to, in draw.io, each time create new PNG file, open your documentation and put to documentation. You can draw in automated way new diagram and just put your markdown, for example, documentation on GitHub. And yes, of course is real Python code. You can use all techniques to check quality of your Python code, for example, Flake 8, and check style of your diagrams.
Okay. The next question, wouldn't defining the architecture's diagram in code take away more time and effort than just drawing it in something like Miro and keeping it up to date?
Yep, personally for me, time looks the same, time effort. Drawing in Draw.io, I'm not fan of Miro. Yep, I'm fan of Draw.io. All write in Python. But difference, I can control changes. I can, like, title of today's presentation, be your own boss. So if my architecture in Python, you can expect not a lot of people in my company can change my architecture without any permission. So you need to know Python, you need to be a real engineer and next propose some changes to my architecture. And yes, of course, it's just fun and enjoyable. Yep, I like to code in Python. I hate drawing something in like Draw.io, Visio, UML, whatever tools. Yep, that's why diagram library works for me well, because I'm just coding in Python. But time effort for me personally is the same. Yeah, because we need to, for example, this example, more than 10 lines of code we need to write for this diagram.
Okay, the next one. What is the better choice for persistent documentation, X with Sphinx and restructured text?
Yep, exactly. You can use for REST diagrams too. Yeah, and the best solution probably check AaC Doctor, because AaC Doctor it can replace your REST, like Sphinx Python code documentation. Check AaC Doctor, and in my presentation you can find a right name for this tool.
Okay. I guess this question wasn't asked yet. What if we want to position a node in a certain place? Can we do it?
Yeah, if you want drag and drop and move your nodes, like icons, I can strongly recommend to use CloudGram solution. It's look pretty the same with diagram class, but unfortunately you need to use YAML language. So I don't know how we can do it in diagram. Probably we need to check with Graphviz documentation, how to place in concrete place. But if you don't like Graphviz syntax notation, you can check CloudGram library and tool. And in CloudGram, you can just easily move left, right, and next save your documentation.
Okay, question from Marek. For planned UML in Eclipse, the Graphviz binary needs to be available on the hosting system. Is the same true for Python diagrams library?
We don't need any visual tool for diagram library. It's static files like PNG, JPEG, or SVG. So if I understand the question correctly, when you use Illograph, for example, it's a web-based diagram, and you need server to work with this one. With CloudGram, you don't need server. You can just use iframe with code and put to your web page. With diagrams library, it's static files. You don't need any server. If I correctly understand this question, if not, you know how to find me. Yep, and we will talk with you later.
Is there a way to create
no. Yep.
AaC infrastructure as a code like Terraform functions from the diagram Python code describing a diagram?
For me, question sounds like, can we translate Python code to YAML, to JSON? Yep, Terraform JSON. And probably yes, but I don't see any reason to do this. So if you can ping me later, yep, and one more time describe your question. Yeah, but we have our diagrams in Python, and that's main idea. If you want to use YAML, for example, let's use CloudGram and YAML. Interactive, please use Illograph, structurized DSL, or CloudGram. Illograph looks really amazing for interactive architecture diagrams. But you need to know YAML. You need to use YAML, not Python.
Is that diagrams library supported by IDEs? Will diagrams be rendered when I write them like Mermaid in PyCharm?
I don't know how it looks in PyCharm, but in main like Visual Studio Code, for example, yep, you can use extensions and you can use diagrams. Because it's based on GraphViz, and you can easily use GraphViz. I can expect with PyCharm it should be the same. Yep, you can do it because it's based on GraphViz library.
Those diagrams support some auto layouts that could enhance readability, for example, minimize number or crossing lines.
Yep, we have already mentioned this one. Use GraphViz notation and style, or check diagrams edges to change style. For any components, you can use styles, but do it in HTML, CSS way. Try to move it out from your Python diagram code, like you can see exactly here. Try to put this graph attribute to the separate file from your code.
Okay, what was the GitHub repo name again?
Yep, you need this link, url24.me AaC, and you can find a link to GitHub repo. Just click on slide with GitHub repo, it's linked to GitHub repo. url24.me/AaC.
Okay, we have one more question. Can you create, synchronize, or class diagrams?
Sorry, I don't understand the question. If you can mention me later and describe, yep, I will try to answer.
Okay, so I will get back to the workshop question, but first I would like to thank Ruslan for the talk.